Hello friends, welcome to another session of video tutorial on Java. Please subscribe to my channel. To subscribe to my channel, click on the subscribe button and then click on the bell icon so that whenever I post a new video, you get the latest updates. In today's session, we are going to take a look at loop. So there are different types of loops available in Java like while, do while, for loop. Later on we will take a look at how to work with nesting. We will also take a look at infinite loop, how to work with break and continue. What is a loop? Loop is nothing but a particular sequence of statements will be executed repeatedly until the condition is met. Loop work with three main things. One is starting point, end point, and steps. So these three things are very important whenever we deal with loops. One is starting point, the other one is end point, and the step. So this is nothing but initial value, this is nothing but condition, and this is nothing but step. We will take a look at the example now. Let us look at while first. In the last session we have seen how to work with if-else conditions. We will continue to take that particular project. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new package here. So right click on the source folder, go to new and package, provide the package name, click on finish. So under this package I'm going to create a new class. While example, enable main, click on finish. Okay, the syntax for while is okay. So that before we look at syntax, the three things are initial value, step, and condition. Okay, so in this example what I want to do is I want to print hello 10 times. Okay, example 2, print hello 10 times. Okay, so my initial value will be int I is equal to 0. Okay, my condition will be while I is less than 10, okay, what am I printing? Hello. So inside this I should be having step also. So here I'm going to increment I value by 1. Okay, so this is the syntax here, wherein I have the initial value here. The condition is I is less than 10. So since I is starting with 0 and I want to print hello 10 times, so I am equating this to less than 10. Okay, and this particular statement gets repeated until this condition becomes false. Save this, right click, run as Java application. Okay, so as you can see, it has printed hello 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, as I said earlier, this statement gets executed repeatedly until this condition either becomes true or false. In my case, it becomes false, and it will come out of this loop. Okay, so that is how you can work with while. So the next thing is let us take a look at do while loop. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and paste it again. I'm going to call this as do while example. Okay, go to do while example.java. There is a slight syntax change here. First will be do, and then at the end while I is less than 10. Okay, two things to note here is our initial value remains the same, and the syntax will be do, and inside this do we have this statement, so we haven't changed this statement as well as step value, and the condition is checked at the end. Okay, and don't forget to add semicolon after a while condition. For while we don't need to put any semicolon, but for do while we need to put a semicolon after the while statement. Okay, what is the difference between do while and while? Do while, it is guaranteed that it will run this statement at least once. Okay, so it will run this statement at least once before it goes and checks for this particular condition. Wherein in while it will check the condition first. If it is false, then it will come out of that particular loop. Let me run this. Right click, run as Java application. So again it is behaving in the same manner. So I got 10 hello printed here. So if I put this as 11 in do while, okay, and in while also I'll put this as 11. So let us execute while first. Run as Java application. So I don't get any output here, but if I go to do while and if I execute this, I should be getting hello printed at least once. Okay, as you can see it here. So that is the difference between while and do while. So let us look at for loop now. And I'm going to take the same example here. I'm going to copy the while and paste it into the package. Okay, this I'm going to call it as for example. Okay, so there is a slight difference in the syntax, the way for loop is written. Okay, so for the initial value int I is equal to 0, then the condition I is less than 10, I plus plus increment or decrement value, which is nothing but step value. Sys out for loop will have the initial value first, followed by semicolon, and then condition, followed by semicolon, and then the increment or decrement value. In this case, we are using only the increment value. Let me run this. Right click, run as Java application. So it printed hello 10 times. In for loop, so we are providing all the 3 items in one go. It is not necessary that you need to provide all 3 items in one go. So you can also specify, you can also declare the initial value outside. Okay, when you declare the initial value outside, then you can take out the first item from the for loop, but make sure you have semicolon there. Okay, and you don't need to provide the increment value here also. So instead of that, you can provide it here inside the loop. Okay, but the condition is a must. Make sure before and after condition, if you don't have initial value as well as the increment value, you need to provide a semicolon here. Okay, so this will behave. So this is as good as your while loop. Okay, let me run this again. Okay, let it save. Okay, it behaves in the same way. So that is about while, do while, and for loop. Okay, so let us see how we can nest a particular loop. For this example, I'm going to take a for loop. I'm going to go back to my original y is equal to 0 and plus. Okay, so this was my original for loop, and inside this I can also have another for loop. J is equal to 1, J is less than 5, J plus plus. So here I'm just going to print I along with J value. Okay. So this is one for loop inside another for loop. So this is nothing but nesting of loops. Okay, so let me run this again. As you can see, when I becomes 0, okay, so for I 0, it has run 4 times, okay, from 1 to 5. So then I gets incremented to 1, and then this for loop gets executed again 4 times. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that is why we are seeing the left side is in left side gets incremented, that is value of I gets incremented only after 4 times of printing the value of J. Okay, so this is how you can nest the loops. Okay, the next thing is infinite loop. Okay, so for infinite loop, I'm going to take this value. Okay, so instead of putting a condition, I put in as while I. Or while 1, okay, I just print the value. or while true, since it takes condition, so I put in true here so that it continuously executes. So let us see now, while example. Okay, run from here, while example. As you can see, it is continuously printing. So this is nothing but infinite loop. Okay, we can stop or terminate from here. Let me change this back to is less than 10. Okay, so we have seen how infinite loop works. Now let us look at break and continue. Okay, so let me go back to the original. Okay, so here I'm going to use as the decrement value while I is equal to 10, and if I is greater than or equal to 0, then you print. So this will become I minus minus. So this will again print. So earlier the initial value, I have changed the initial value and the condition. Earlier initial value was I is equal to 0 and the condition was I is less than or equal to 10. I was incrementing. So I am doing the exact opposite of it. So in this case I am setting the initial value to 10 and I am checking for condition I is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, and I am decrementing the value. Okay, so let us save this. Okay, suppose say if I want to break this loop after 5 iterations. Okay, then what I'm going to do is if I is less than or equal to 5, then just break. Okay, so if this condition is met, then it is going to break out of this while loop. So sometimes it is necessary that you need to break out of the loop based on certain conditions. In my case, so if I becomes less than or equal to 5, I'm breaking it. So let me run this. Run as Java application. Save this. Okay, as you can see, it has printed hello only 5 times. As soon as it hit this, it came out of this loop. So break is used to come out of the loop once the condition is met. Okay, the same way I can also use continue here. If I say I is greater than or equal to 5, then continue. Let me print the value of I also here. Plus. So here I'm going to print the value of I. Okay, so when I say continue, I should be adding this in here before continue. Okay, so let us right click and run. Okay, as you can see, if I is greater than or equal to 5, so initially the value of I was 10. Okay, so it didn't print anything, so it just printed the value of I, and then it continued on and then later on it came back to this one. So sometimes you need to break and sometimes you need to continue depending on which condition the loop should break or continue. So you need to decide where to put continue and break. Okay, that is the end of today's session, wherein we learned about different kinds of loops.